Everything is popping up as it should right here. But we should be live. We are live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube. It is 10:48 a.m. It is the East Coast time that I'm referring to. We're live over on Sportscaster. What's going on, everybody? We have a championship weekend. Going to take a look at it. Going to break some of it down right here. Really, this is just Q&A, right? I've done a pretty in-depth deep dive for these two games that you can possibly do, whether it's over on Patreon, updated as soon as a couple hours ago. What's going on, Legalize? How you doing? What's going on, Buff on the Beef? How those ears doing, my man? Podcast guy, are you, huh? But yeah, this is a two-game slate that is extremely difficult because no matter which way you cut it, you are probably leaving two studs on the table, more than likely three studs on the table, and that doesn't feel great, right? So no matter what, you're leaving good players on the table. If you build your lineups a certain way, you might be able to get to, and I'm referring to studs as those 7K and above guys. You could throw Kittle in there since he's cheaper but still stud. Yeah, you're probably going to be leaving three or so of those guys on the table today. Maybe you can get it to two if you're really punting at two spots, but it's a gross slate in terms of the pricing is so tight that you're forced into a lot of similar builds depending on where you start. So I'm happy to be here for the next hour or so. Be here till noon, answer as many questions as you would like. Again, it's a two-game slate, so we'll see how much appeal this actually draws in. Since it is this final four, if you will, of the playoffs, I'm sure a lot of people will be interested. Still millionaire maker, so the big prize pools are still there. I see the Sportscaster chat. I got Twitch and YouTube up right here as well. So what's going on? Just followed a few days ago, says Andrew Smith. Andrew, what's going on, my man? Hopefully you're having a good weekend. Kemper, what's up? Kevin, what's going on? Sterling, what's going on, my man? Steve says Chiefs. Hey. So the Chiefs 7-point home favorites today. I'm assuming 7.5 points. I'm assuming you're liking that one, Steve. What's going on, Brian? Good morning, Orlando. Tyreek Hill all day says, or Tyreek Hill day says Eric Patton. Yeah, I mean, Tyreek Hill best game of the season was against Tennessee earlier this year, week 10, I believe. And I would argue if you watched that game and watched he had those big Thursday, Monday Night Football games where he catches the Patriots won the 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdown game, the punt return. But I would argue that was a top 3 Tyreek Hill performance in his career. Not the longest of careers, but 11 for like 157 and a tutty. But just the way he was doing it was unreal. Smash the like button, says Beth. Definitely. What's the definition of a game stack? Like being like for the big DK GPP. A game stack would be having 3 players from the game, a quarterback, plus a pass catcher, running back with a running back or a pass catcher on the other side. But that's what it is. You have players from both sides, including a quarterback from one. But a real game stack for a normal size slate's about 4 to 5 players. On this slate, you're probably getting there pretty easily. Only got 100 on it so far, says Andrew. The past 2 weekends, I've won about over 5K. I don't know what to do, though. Hard day. Wow. Well, congrats on winning. Yeah, don't force your money into these 2-game slates. I don't have a ton of money, nowhere near as much as I would for a normal NFL slate. It's because it's so variant. If you don't have McCole Hardman today and he ends up scoring a 30-yard touchdown, you're not winning much, and you're going to be struggling to find the top 10% in a lot of those tournaments, even if he's only like 10% on today, 15% on. So don't do a lot. Best way to build a cash lineup today. Best way to build a cash lineup, you want to optimize for points, not ownership. So Patrick Mahomes seems pretty secure there, and I think George Kittle is a good start. Alaska in the house. What's going on, Bronx? Who do you got, Sal? Today, I'll say Chiefs and Packers. What's the word on Andrews? What do you mean by Andrews? Is there an Andrews that I'm supposed to be concerned about? Mark, no longer here. What's going on, Legalize? Yes, hit that like button. Yes. Hill big day. It seems like it. What's going on, E-Rush? E-Rush over on the Twitch streets. What's going on, Twitch streets? Everybody over there, I see you. Paul and the Bull over on Sportscaster, I see you. What's going on? Sammy Watkins today. Yeah, so Sammy Watkins is so difficult for me because I don't like the spot for him. I really don't, but he's still so cheap. He's not getting a ton of volume, and he gets Logan Ryan this week as opposed to Vernon Hargreaves last week. Now, his 3 or 4 or 5 targets today, yeah, if one ends up in a touchdown, he's too cheap for that. And the rest of the 4 and 5K range of wide receiver is just going over-owned. And not over-owned in a bad way. Like A.J. Brown deserves his ownership, but Deebo Samuel, Emmanuel Sanders, all these guys in that range, even Corey Davis, they're all similarly owned to Watkins, so what are you pivoting to? Like, I think Watkins and Corey Davis are my favorite mid-range wide receiver plays, more than the Denver guys, but it's just still gross, and it's hard to avoid that range, right? You're very rarely not going to be stuck in that 5K range at wide receiver on this type of a slate because there's just so many guys there. So I don't really like Sammy Watkins today, but by the process of by default of not having any other options and liking the Denver guys less, I'm landing on Sammy Watkins, and it doesn't feel great. How do you feel about Jonnu Smith? I've come around to Jonnu Smith. I like Jonnu Smith a lot today. It's nothing that I think he's a fantastic play, but if he's 3,400 and he's projecting for close to like 8 fantasy points for me now, 7 or whatever it might be, that's hard to pass up when the rest of the 3K range, nobody really projects out like that. Most starter Coleman. Depends on what you're doing with your lineup. If Mostart allows you to get up to like Devontae Adams, well then yeah, go to Mostart. I think Mostart and Coleman are very similar. Coleman's going to have lower ownership, like half the ownership is Mostart. So if you already have a chalky lineup, going up to Coleman's not a bad idea. I prefer Mostart, so does the ownership right now, and it's really just because of the price. I think Coleman seeing 22 touches on 48% of the snaps last week was a product of Kyle Shanahan. Pretty obviously, if you watch that game, if you're a 49ers fan, you could have seen it. You had Jimmy G throw a pick, and then he threw 2 more balls just into coverage, and they should have been picked off. And he said, you know what, we're just going to run the rest of the game. 19 pass attempts, 42 rushing attempts. More times than not, 48% of the snaps on the field for Coleman ends up in like 15, 16 touches. And I think the similar can be said for most starts, 10 to 12 touches. So yeah, Coleman's upside at that price point, it's surely there if you get 15 or 16 touches, but it's overpriced, and you're seeing that in the ownership. Is Lazard in play? I mean, he's in play. He's one of the guys who has the lower ownership. I would prefer Corey Davis, though, at similar ownership, and then I would also prefer Sammy Watkins. Like Lazard, he was off the injury report. The problem for him is, and I do think the Packers end up putting Devontae Adams on Richard Sherman's side a lot. Like, he's a technician receiver. He won the battle against Sherman week 12 about half the time. Ended up with 7 catches, 40-something yards and a touchdown. Nothing big play-wise, but in terms of being a technician, moving the change, beating him on those double moves, anything that you can get Richard Sherman in transition, his hips moving, that's when you have him beat. And Devontae Adams arguably is the best player in the entire league in terms of his route running effectiveness. So I think that opens up pretty much to close that. More snaps for Allen Lazard not seeing Richard Sherman, which is key for Lazard. But even then, Emmanuel Mosley is a tough matchup. What's going on, Mike? How you doing? Is DeMarcus Robinson a sneaky play? I mean, yeah, he's like 10% owned. He's going to run 25 routes, 30 routes maybe. So I think he's sneaky, yes, because the ownership's not there. Do I think he's a good play? Not that much. But yeah, sneaky, yes. He should see a couple targets. Good morning, Sal. Good morning. Straight to the point, Sal. I trust your knowledge. So can you give me a DK defense that you would actually play? What's going on, Lorenzo? Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, look, the very quick summary for anybody who's new. Defenses, build the rest of your lineup, see what you like. Today's slate, I think the Packers are a really good defense. 7-point road underdogs is not great, but you had Jimmy G throw an interception last week, and he's been sketchy all season long. The Packers are going to sell out to stop the run. They're going to play extra men in the middle of the field. What do the San Francisco 49ers do well? They run the ball well, and they throw it to the middle of the field. Jimmy G has not been challenged a lot to the outside. I can almost guarantee you that that's what the Packers will do today, challenge him to make throws to the outside. Their pass rush is still elite. I'll go with the Packers, and at the end of the day, it's a price play. Like if the Packers were 3,400, I wouldn't like them, but it's a price play for a team that you're betting on probably, arguably, and very close to the best pass rush on the slate today, right next to, obviously, the 49ers, but very close is this Packers team. Packers have 3 guys within the top 22 in the NFL in pressure rates. I believe the 49ers have 4 within the top 25. They also have 3 within the top 22. So they have a very close lines here. Running back page says, yeah, definitely. Which game should I stack with better upside? I think the first one has just better upside. The problem is, do you end up getting just the game where Derrick Henry continues to dominate, as he should, against the Kansas City team that has given up 40% of their yardage just on the ground this year? That is a big number in today's NFL, then that's an issue because then Tannehill doesn't throw much, and all those wide receivers and tight ends from Tennessee are garbage today at their low price points, as they have been the last 2 weeks. But I think either way, that the team that you want is obviously Kansas City. They're the highest owned everywhere, but they're also the highest priced. Humphreys flyer. Yeah, I don't know what to do with Humphreys here. Look, he's going to come back. I haven't seen anything on his if he's going to be in full mode here. They still have Khalif Raymond. They still have Tajay Sharp to run slot routes. At most, even if Tannehill throws 30 times today, which would be double than what he's been doing the last 2 games, you probably get like 20, 25 at most. Probably, I would project if he throws 30 times, like 22 slot routes. So they're not going to be an 11 personnel the whole game, I don't imagine. In that case, I think Humphreys runs, if he's fully healthy, 15. Then Tajay Sharp gets a couple. Maybe Khalif Raymond gets 1. If he's not healthy, he might only run 10, 12 routes today. So Humphreys is a risk. Like, you might get 2 to 3 targets out of him at 3K. He has no ownership right now. It's coming up, though. It's like 15, 20% is where it's projecting right now. But Humphreys is a flyer for sure. You're betting on him because he's cheap. But what I see in Adam Humphreys today is very similar to what you've seen in Tajay Sharp so far. The only problem is, and it would be a benefit if you're playing him, they might actually have to throw more today since the Chiefs have a much better passing offense than the last 2 teams. So, yeah, I think Humphreys is worth a flyer. Am I getting overweight on him at that 3K price point? No, not right now. Is Henry and Mahomes a must? I would say no, it's not a must. If anything, I'd say Mahomes is more of the must there just because of pricing. Like if you're playing Henry and Mahomes, you're pretty much building the same lineup as everybody else doing that for the most part. Kenny says, love the content, Sal. Awesome stuff. I have Aaron Jones and Mostart as the backs today with Kelsey and Mahomes. That seems fine. Yeah, that seems fine. Loving Rodgers today. Yeah, Rodgers is going to be unowned. He's going to be like 10% owned. So if you do like him today, I would get on him. He's low ownership. They're going to have to do a lot of wrinkles in that offense. More tight ends. Tyler Irving, again, the running back that they put in the slot for about 7-8 routes snaps last week. They're going to have to do a lot of that and just slow the game down. Rodgers, I think, steps up in the big plays, the big moments. Is it enough, though, to, at 6,100, score 22 to 24 fantasy points for you? And he might not have to do that, right? If Mahomes stinks today and goes for 18, well, then Rodgers at 6,100 can score 16, 17 and be in winning lineups, right? So it's not all on Rodgers' shoulders, similar with these other quarterbacks that are in the 5K range. Pretty much, if you get a Mahomes stinker today, you're wiping out, and again, it's not foreseen with their team total, but if you were to get it, the unforeseen happening, and you faded Mahomes in his close to 50% ownership, you knock out half the field, and now whichever quarterback you have is pretty much fine, right? So when you're starting Aaron Rodgers today, I wouldn't go, oh, I need him to score 30. No. You just need Mahomes to stink, because if he's scoring 16, chances are Tannehill and Garoppolo are very close to him, so it's not the end of your day. But do I think Mahomes gets shut down here? I personally don't. Do you fade Derrick Henry, bro? I don't think you fade him. I'm coming in under, he's like 55, 60% projected ownership where I'm seeing it. I'm having less than that. It's just a pricing play. He's 8,700. If I play Henry and I'm having a ton of Mahomes, I have the most Mahomes, triple any other quarterback right now in my ownership. If I play a lot of Mahomes and then a lot of Henry, I don't get much left on bone. There's not much left at wide receiver. Really hard to fit Tyreek or Adams. Really hard to get any of those top end tight ends. Who do you like more between Adams and Hill? Hill is going to be about 15% more owned. I like Hill more, but I like both of those guys a lot today. I'm not scared for Adams against Sherman. Is it a tough matchup? Yes. Is he a star top 5 wide receiver? Yes, so he can win that battle, especially if he doesn't have to see him the whole game. Hill, Adams, too much salary on wide receiver. It seems like it, but you're building a very unique lineup if you do that. The Hill and Adams combination, I would imagine less than 10% of the field stacks that together, just because of what you're left with at running back. You're almost forced to play probably like Aaron Jones and Mo start at that point. Maybe even lower. Maybe even bolt San Fran backs. Somebody says, word, NBA is impossible. I don't think so. You just got to play smaller fields. Just stop playing the 30,000 person fields where the guy who's 1% owned goes for 45 and you lose. Any word on Humphries? He practiced limited. He wasn't on the injury report. He's going to play in this one. Do we know the extent of his snaps? No. So, I mean, more times than not, Adam Humphries is running like 18 to 20 routes when he's fully healthy if they're throwing the ball a lot. You haven't been seeing them throw the ball a lot. So if they keep throwing these 18, 20 times a game total, Humphries, even if he's fully healthy, is going to run like 8 or 10 routes like Tajay Sharp has been doing. So, yeah, the price point is low. I think they throw more today just to keep up with KC. But I think on a good day, a healthy Adam Humphries runs about 15 routes today. That's if everything goes perfect for you. They throw a little bit more, 25, 30 times. He's fully healthy. 15, 16 routes. That's not that great. You're getting like 2 or 3 targets that are like 6, 7-yard targets. Obviously, the touchdowns are always in play. He'll be on the field in the red zone, but they also are a very run-heavy red zone team. So Humphries at 3K I think is fine, but I think it's interesting, but it shouldn't be overblown. And right now, it's not that bad. How about Adam Humphries if he plays? Yeah, so that's the answer to that. Hey, Sal, would you go Kittle/Kelsey on cash games? I think it's okay if you can make it work. You're obviously spending a lot of money there, but I think it's fine if you can make it work. So hard to fit Derrick Henry, Sal. I agree. If you want to play Mahomes today, you are probably sacrificing Derrick Henry, in my opinion. Otherwise, if you play both of those guys, I haven't really seen many lineups that look great. You can get some. I have a handful, but they don't look that great. Sal, have you ever messed around with flash drafts on DK? I've heard of them. I've never really looked into them, Jeff. No. Are they fun? Robinson and Humphries to get Hill and Williams. That seems really thin, but what do I know? It's a 2-game slate. If those are the guys who score the touchdowns, they're needed. But the issue with Robinson and Humphries is they're both going to be like the 4th options in their passing game when their teams pass. Now, Robinson obviously much more upside for his team passing, but seems thin. And that's the issue. Like if you want to get to Henry plus Mahomes plus Damian Williams, you're probably starting 2 really terrible wide receivers and or tight ends at that point. Can I play Aaron Jones in cash? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's going to have around 18. I have him projected for 18 touches, one more than Damian Williams. He's cheaper. He's in a similarly difficult matchup. So, yeah. So, if you were building one lineup, would you use Hill or Adams? I would use Hill. I think there's more upside there in one lineup. But if the rest of your lineup is just eating a chalk everywhere and you can somehow pivot up to Adams in price, then go there. I would choose Hill if I was starting a lineup, but if you're chalky everywhere, you have to pivot somewhere. Toss me a pork chop. Just throws in a bunch of emojis. I think that's some Celtics. I don't even know. Yeah, Marcus Smart went bonkers last night. Almost a 70 burger. Career high in threes. Do you think Adam Humphries plays? Yeah, well, we'll get the official report, but he practiced limited all week. I think he's good. He wasn't on the injury report. Like officially questionable or anything. I didn't see anything like that at least. Hill Hill, he's going to be lower owned than Adams. No, he won't. So David says Hill will be lower owned than Adams. As of right now, that's not going to be the case. Adams is more expensive. Adams I have projected for around 30% ownership here, and then Hill is around almost 50%. So no, Hill won't be lower owned. Anybody who played Dalvin Cook last week, the same thing's going to happen to Aaron Jones this week. I mean, if that's the case, that you just look at last week's results against a different team to try and project this week's results is beyond funny. The Packers, for one, the Packers' offensive line compared to the Vikings is miles better. This is probably a top 4, top 3 run blocking unit, especially with Brian Bulaga, who wasn't in the last time they placed the 49ers, who wasn't in last week for this team. The right tackle is going to be in today. That is huge. Comparing just different teams like that is crazy. Jamal Williams, a good dart throw. No, if you're going to throw a dart on a backup Packers running back, I'd throw it on Tyler Erving. I don't think that's worth it unless you're playing showdown. But Jamal Williams only played 9 snaps, 2 touches. Tyler Erving had 7 snaps, 2 touches. And Tyler Erving's role is going to be much more as like a slot receiver gadget type player, which usually breaks bigger plays. Jamal Williams will see his snaps still, but they might reduce if Erving continues to get more. Who is Humphries? Adam Humphries. He might return today. He practiced last December 1st, but then he practiced this week. Hill and Adams is too much at wide receiver. Yeah, it probably is. It's really tough to get to things like that. If you're doing that, you're probably starting Tannehill or Garoppolo. Hey, Sal, I've been rolling since you were still at... Hey, Sal, I have been rolling with you since you were still at Penn State doing these videos. I didn't see the rest of that. I'm sorry, Lorenzo. Someone just asked me if I'm purposely listening to you on 1.5x speed. Nah, man, I just talk fast. Got a lot to say. I'm Italian from New York. Corey Davis or Sammy Watkins? That is the toughest question on the slate for me personally today. There's other tough questions. Do you want to go to Raheem Mostert and pivot away from one of the top running backs and you get a lot more money to get up to maybe another Devontae Adams type of wide receiver? But Corey Davis versus Sammy Watkins, I have equal ownership to them. I prefer Corey Davis slightly, but it depends on your lineup. If you already have A.J. Brown, if you already have Jonnu Smith, I probably don't want Corey Davis in there. I don't think all 3 of those guys on the 20 Tannehill pass attempts gets there. So it really depends on your lineup, Anthony, for that question. I guess I would say Corey Davis if you don't really have a lot of Titans in your lineup already. If you do, then just Watkins. Is it a bad idea to play Henry and Tannehill and Henry in the same lineup? I don't think it's out of play. Like, Tannehill's cheap enough to get there. The problem is if Henry has one of those big games, Tannehill might only throw 15 times again. Jason said, just sub. Thank you, man. Yeah. Let me know how many people are watching, one. But also, if you're new here, please do hit that subscribe button. I see a couple people on the Sportscaster stream, Cubs fan and Paul and the Bulls fan 99. Also hit that subscribe button. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. But yeah, hit the subscribe button over here on YouTube. Approaching 19,000 subscribers. The goal to get to 20K by the Super Bowl. We are officially 2 weeks away, and we are about 1,500 subscribers away. So it's going to be tough, but we should get there. I'm probably going to be doing XFL content as well. Anybody who knows the last 6 seed to make the Super Bowl was just curious. Yeah, it was the Green Bay Packers. They won it in 2010. The Giants. Somebody Legal Eye says the Giants. I think that was the year or two before. But the Packers won in 2010. 6 seed. Beat the Steelers. Kittle and Kelsey. Is this the day you can run offense against defense? Yes, without a doubt. It's hard not to. Kittle and Kelsey, too risky to have both in one lineup. I don't think it's risky. You're spending a lot of money. It makes your lineup construction difficult. You might not be able to fit Mahomes into that lineup. Otherwise, you're going to give up the top running backs. But no, Kittle and Kelsey, it's not risky at all. Like, Kittle and Kelsey both project, if you take quarterbacks out, as 2 of my top 4 projected points players. So getting them both into your lineups is just a matter of how do you make it work. Since you like the Packers, give us your game theory on how to get the most out of the Packers. I mean, on offense, you're not going to get much out of them. It's Devontae Adams, it's Aaron Jones, and it's wrinkles from Tyler Erving and the tight ends. Rodgers shouldn't have a stats game here. He could win the game and be very good, but it might be a 27 pass attempt, 230 yards and a touchdown game, but he played well, but it doesn't translate to fantasy. The big thing for the Packers to win is on defense. Just stop the run, overload the middle of the field, stop the short passes. The only way San Fran thrives is short passes in the middle of the field and running. If you've watched them all year, you know that. They don't trust Jimmy G. They don't. Throwing him outside to Debo and Emmanuel Sanders has not worked well this year for them, aside from a couple of touchdown passes. So that's the way the Packers win on the defensive side. Defensive scores, turnovers, all of that are going to be very vital. They have to play close to a perfect game. But they have the offensive line. They have the defensive line to compete with this team. It's just a matter of how they attack this secondary. And I think you're going to see a lot of wrinkle plays, a lot of weird plays. Maybe you even get to see one of those Rodgers flea flickers, and he actually catches a ball. Be shocked if Rodgers is incorporating that play into this offense, but you never know. Any content for Patreon members? Yeah, the Closing Thoughts podcast went up a couple hours ago for today. My exposures, all that. Chalkiest plays today, probably Damian Williams, Derrick Henry, Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, those types of guys. Aren't you a Packers fan? Can we believe you? I mean, I'm as non-biased as a fan as you can be. I'm very excited for this game today, but I'm as non-biased. If you watch my Patreon streams or my Sportscaster streams, I'm a streamer for the Packers over there. I said they were going to get blown out to the 49ers. And this is not me just being like a negative fan. Like, I'm going through the X's and O's. I watch the film. I look at the data. It's a spot where, yeah, they're the big underdogs in this one. But there's ways you win, and that is taking away the middle of the field from this team and just winning the turnover battle if you can. So, yeah, I'm a Packers fan, but I'm as non-biased as it comes when it comes to sports fans. What is chalk? What's going on, Daryl? It just means very heavy ownership. A lot of people are playing that player. What's going on, King Ming? He says, let's ball. Yes. Let's do it. What about Breida? Yeah, Breida got 8 touches on 11 snaps last week. If they weren't in such run-heavy mode because they were scared shitless to let Jimmy Garoppolo throw the ball, I think Breida sees like 4 touches. So I have Breida projected for 4 touches today. Can he go off on those 4 touches? Can he earn more because he plays well? Yeah, he's a fine back, but he's just kind of buried right now in the depth chart. Do you play any FanDuel? No, I do not. So no one on Henry. Go for pass-catching running backs. Cheaper can get higher wide receivers. I mean, Henry's highly owned. He's fine. I'm below the field in his ownership, but it's just because of the price. It's nothing against his skill set. I have Henry projected for 26 touches. That's the most on the slate. I have him projected as the second highest scorer on the slate, more than any of the other running backs or wide receivers. It's not by a lot over some of those guys, but it just comes down to price at that point. 489 watching, cool. Wow, Sal, almost 20K subs. Yes, sir. Close. I came in late. Did you mention Jonnu Smith? Yeah, I like Jonnu Smith at 3,400. I think you get some upside there. You're pretty much getting like the Adam Humphries role that people are going to want to have today out of Jonnu Smith, just more securely and a better athletic player, especially in the red zone. Is Mahomes the must play? Very close to it at quarterback. If you can make the rest of your lineup work out, I think it's really good. Which random wide receiver is going to go bonkers today? I have no idea. Probably McCole Hardman, but that's just a guess. Sanders gets Jair Alexander. LOL. Sanders doing a whole lot of nothing. Yeah, Sanders, as the season goes on, you're kind of seeing this aging body out of the guy with the Achilles tear coming off of. Yeah, he hasn't been doing well. He's been shut down twice this year by Sanders already, or by Jair already. Borden or Hardman? I would take Hardman there. Sorry, late to the party. Am I crazy for playing Tannehill and Henry? I don't think it's high upside, but it's not out of play on a 2-game slate. Really, there's not much out of play on a 2-game slate. Williams over Jones. If you're talking about Jamal Williams, there's no shot there. The guy's probably going to be the 3rd-string running back today, behind Tyler Irving. Unless you're saying Damian Williams over Aaron Jones. Yeah, that's where the ownership is. Damian Williams has twice the ownership as Aaron Jones right now, so it's not a surprise to anybody right there. I think both of them are completely fine. I see Williams with the Wildcat in the end zone. Damian? I guess that's a odd take. Hey, Sal, you going to do any MLB this year or no? Not sure yet. Depends. I like MLB DFS. Covering it every single day, though, is very repetitive. At least the NBA, you have injury news, something that makes it exciting. The MLB is just, you have the same pitchers pitching every 5 days, same exact lineup. Very boring sport. Khalif Raymond and Valdez-Scantling. Valdez-Scantling, if you want to pick one of those guys, but they both probably run 2 or 3 routes today. I think Scantling has the higher ceiling playing on the outside. With Adam Humphries back, I would not be shocked to see Khalif Raymond inactive today. Like, not even a healthy scratch, right? But Valdez-Scantling, in theory, he should get on the field more. You need somebody to stretch the field, show this defense something that you really haven't shown them yet, or really anybody for the past couple of weeks. But, I mean, Scantling's just been terrible. He really can't win himself up that depth chart. So both of those guys are there. That's the thing. Like, don't look for the Q play who's on the field for 3 snaps, right? It's not going to pay off for you. You got to look for a guy, if you're going to look for some sort of sneaky play, just build your lineups differently. Don't try and rely on the guy who's going to have 1 touch today at most to be the guy who wins you a tournament. Because if a guy has 1 touch for a 20-yard catch, that is hitting the nuts for you if this is a punt play. And you know what? It's not winning you anything, though. What is the over-under? I got the over-unders right here. So the 49ers spread has gone up by a point since it's opened. They're at 27. This is now an 8-point spread for the 49ers. The over-under for that game is 46. And then Chiefs and Titans is 51.5. Chiefs right now, total stayed the same. Titans has come up by a half a point. So 22.25 team implied total for the Titans, 3rd highest on the slate. Chiefs the highest at 29.25. Packers lowest at 19. Not that appealing. And then San Fran 27. What do you think about Khalif Raymond in cash and Hardman? In cash, they both are pretty bad options. I would choose Hardman if you really forced me to. Look, Khalif Raymond, he played 4 snaps, ran 3 routes last week. Don't look at the game log for his 1 catch, 45-yard touchdown. He literally ran 3 routes. Now Adam Humphries is due back. He if I had to guess, if Adam Humphries plays today, Raymond probably doesn't play on the field. Favorite value wide receiver? Probably A.J. Brown, but it's not really surprising anybody. Sub Sal, is Adam Humphries playing? We'll get the official report at, I believe, 1:35. I don't know if he's playing or not. You get it at 1:45. Adore Jackson is going to shut down Tyreek Hill today. That is comical. Watkins and Kelsey all day. Watkins and Kelsey all day. Yeah, I mean, they're both fine. I really don't want to play Sammy Watkins today. The matchup is brutal. He's like the 4th or 5th option now with Damian Williams out there all the time, especially in the short passing game. So it's tough, but he's cheap, and there's really no other pivots. Like if you're pivoting off of Watkins to somebody else, they're also highly owned today. Can you run Kittle and a Jonnu Smith pairing? Yeah, that seems fine to me for sure. Showdown captain, Mo start. Seems sneaky, seems fine. Yeah, I have a showdown video out right now if you guys want to watch it, actually. Hit that subscribe button, by the way. Steve says, imagine somebody shutting down Tyreek Hill 1-on-1. Yeah, nobody shadows Tyreek Hill. So, like, the guy who said that, Adore Jackson, who's been just, average at best, and I know he's been injured, but nobody shadows Tyreek Hill. Adore Jackson might play 30-40% of his snaps against Hill today. So even if Adore Jackson somehow became Superman and shut him down for 30% of those snaps, I'll take my chances on the other 70% against Tremaine Brock Jr. or whoever might be over there. Garoppolo or Rodgers? I'd prefer Jimmy G there. Any Kyle Juszczyk love? Not even on the showdown slate for me, no. What's the best 3K play? The best 3K play, I think, is Jonnu Smith. It's either Jonnu Smith or McCole Hardman. Jonnu Smith will have probably more opportunities, but Hardman's opportunities will be higher upside, of course, just because of the guy's talent, speed, separation, all that. So best 3K play looks to me to be either Jonnu Smith or McCole Hardman. Hardman's the riskier option there, I would say. Am I crazy for fading Henry, Damian Williams, and Mahomes? No, if you're playing one lineup, you're obviously getting to who? You're getting to, at that point, Aaron Jones, Mostert, Hill, all the other top-end wide receivers, both tight ends. So, no, I think the lineup still sounds good. You're just obviously, you're fading some really good plays. No matter what today, you're going to be fading 3 studs. If you don't play Mahomes, there's one. You're probably fading a top running back and a top tight end or a top wide receiver. No matter what, you're going to be fading 3 studs, and it's not going to feel good. Right now, my main lineup, I'm fading 3 studs. I'm going to tell you which ones, but it does not feel good. And by main lineup, I mean that's the lineup that I'll be playing in all stakes, single entry, and 3 maxes right now up to like the $500 buy-in. Interest in Jonnu Smith? Yeah, I think there has to be. He's $3,400, so like he's obviously, I don't want to, like if I'm playing Jonnu Smith, I'm probably going double tight end in that lineup. Just because playing Jonnu Smith and fading both Kittle and Kelsey on this slate is almost a death sentence. You saw it last week. You almost got away with it because Kittle had, 3 catches, but you didn't get away with it once Kelsey stepped on the field. Sanders or Watkins? I'll take Watkins there. I think Deion Sanders could have done it, Steve. Uh-oh. I think KC blows out. So fading Henry and loading up on Tannehill and A.J. Brown might be the special kick today. I think A.J. Brown's a strong play. I think Tannehill's fine. Like, if you're not going to Mahomes today, I think I prefer Tannehill next. Slightly ahead of Jimmy G. So right now this says Jimmy G is my second. I'm going to change this since last time I did this. If you're not playing Mahomes. But here's the big deal. Mahomes is expensive, and that is a wide gap of $2,500, more so than any other position you're paying for it. The problem with it, though, is that it's a 2-game slate. So even if Mahomes has a bad day, and this team has no pass rush, they have no secondary. This team is good at stopping the run, Tennessee, and tackling. So like it sets up for KC to have to throw with the 29 implied team total. Somebody running by here. I'm trying to project this in a way that Mahomes stinks today outside of him getting injured, and it's so difficult. The secondary play for this team outside of slot cornerback Logan Ryan and their safety is very bad. Outside wide receivers are very bad. Coverage against tight ends, against Kelsey, they're not going to match up. It's tough. Now, the pricing makes it a little bit easier. I think Garoppolo is just as good of a points per dollar play, but points per dollar only matters so much in a 2-game slate. If Mahomes goes out and has a bad game and drops 24 points, and every other quarterback, the highest scoring one is 16 points, maybe you have a chance there. But that 8-point difference is really going to have to be made up from somewhere else that you're fading. If Mahomes goes out and drops 30 today, there's no doubt about it. He's going to be needed. I don't see another quarterback on the slate really cracking 22 or 20. Do you have snap counts for DeMarcus Robinson versus Hardman? Yeah, it's not even close. Hardman's not playing much. He ran 8 routes last week. Robinson was in the high 20s. It's not even close. And Robinson dropped 2 balls, and he still stayed on the field. So the issue is that Hardman is more of a gadgety player. They're going to try and prioritize him on the field, and when he's on the field, give him the ball. You saw four targets last week, 1 or 2 touches. Sal, you maxing out the Millie Maker on DK? No, that sounds like a terrible idea. There's going to be people and a ton of professionals, and if you're a pro and you have the money to lose and do that on the Millie Maker, you can. I don't want to burn all my money on a 2-game Millie Maker. I never max out. I've not yet maxed out the Millie Maker. I personally think it's a really bad investment. Is Kittle going to lose pass routes because of the Packers' pass rush? I don't think so. It didn't happen last time. No, he should be fine. Now, it's going to be very similar to most games. I mean, you had a good pass rush last week in Minnesota. Also, the 2 top safeties in the entire league, grade-wise in PFF. So, no, I don't think it'll be that big of an issue. I think it'll be sort of a normal game. Graham or Smith? I'll take Jonnu Smith. What do you think of Kendrick Bourne? He's low-owned. He's relatively cheap, but honestly, even in saying he's relatively cheap, he's still kind of expensive. Is Chris Jones active? He's going to test it out game time. It doesn't seem like, if I had to bet, Chris Jones seems doubtful right now. They said he'll test it out game time, but they're not optimistic. Kendrick Bourne is going to run 15 or so routes out of the slot against Jamal Williams. Really tough matchup. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he's useless. But you can say that for every other 4K and below guy. So I'd rather just play like McCole Hardman or somebody, Jonnu Smith over Kendrick Bourne. Very similar roles, but a lot cheaper. Sal, you're a boat kind of guy? I get the vibe that you enjoy fishing on a boat. No, I mean, I used to fish a couple times in high school with my friends, but was nowhere near the one that enjoyed it the most. Don't have anything negative to say about fishing. It's relaxing, but I don't get excited to go do it or go out of my way to do it. Sal, my dude, go Pack go. Go Pack go. Yeah, big game today. Tanny and Brown should be locked in as I project Titans to be down by big at halftime. Yeah, I mean, if you think that that's the case, then you have to go there. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to go there, but Brown seems like a great option. The issue with Tannehill, even if they get down big, there's no guaranteeing that Tannehill, and he hasn't really shown it this year, is going to throw for 300 yards. Like, if Tannehill, even if they get down big, he can score 16 points. Mahomes has 32, and you don't even need Tannehill, right? You can need Brown, surely, but that's the issue with Tannehill. Even projecting this team to be down big at halftime, based on how much Kansas City runs, which is not a lot, Mahomes is probably going to be in a very good spot at halftime. Maybe 16 fantasy points at halftime, and you might not even have Tannehill scoring that in the whole game. So that's the issue with me. And the price difference is already built into it, of course, but that's the issue. Mahomes is a must-play, somebody says. The price makes it not the case. But if you're not playing Mahomes, you need him to do bad. Like, if you don't play Mahomes today, you're hoping for 25 or less points. And in the biggest game of his career, against a bottom 10 pass rush and secondary, with his weapons fully healthy, at home, man, it seems difficult to see him just busting today. Can we see the wide receiver screen? Yeah. If you have any questions over on Sportscaster, be sure to ask them. I got you up right now. Mahomes' ceiling over Henry's. So Matthew thinks that Mahomes has a higher ceiling than Henry. Today, I think they're close. It's hard for a quarterback to really ever have a higher ceiling than a running back going to touch the ball 25 plus times. But Mahomes is a special quarterback, so yeah, I think they're close. I have Mahomes projected for like 3 more fantasy points than Henry. Ceilings, though, are pretty close. Sal, do you like Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey stack, or do you prefer Mahomes and one of the two? I honestly like both. If you're playing both, though, you're really limiting the rest of your lineup. So since Kittle is on the slate, I like Kittle more than Kelsey. I think both of them together are fine, but I would prefer not having both if I had one lineup. But if you had them both in one, I really can't argue too much. Andy Reid has an outstanding record coming off the bye. Do we have a record on how he's done the following week, or am I just ridiculous at this point? I mean, I think there's something to be said coming off of the bye. You make adjustments. You obviously get players healthy. The week after that, though, I think you're just looking for trends. Like, there might be a trend. It might be that he's 4-8, right? But it doesn't do much for me. It's just a trend at that point. A trend that shows just you're seeing some sort of correlation, I guess, but nowhere near does that mean there's any sort of causation. What are your must plays? It stinks because Aaron Rodgers is actually on the slate, so I can't give the wise ass comment of Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson. What is your thoughts on Tajay Sharp? If Adam Humphries actually suits up today, Sharp is going to only run like 6 or 7 routes, so he'll be worse than he has been the past weeks, which has been brutal. Corey Davis or Hardman? I'll take Corey Davis there. Is Adam Humphries active and in play? If he plays, I don't really like him all that much, honestly. At 3K, it's fine, but he's very similar to a lot of the other 3K guys. He'll run 16, 17 routes, see 2 or 3 targets. But Humphreys, we won't know the news until an hour and a half before lock, I believe. Corey Davis, Sal, he seems fine. Go Pack Go, says Timmy. Yeah, go Pack Go. You playing Kittle and Kelsey, or are you prioritizing one? I'm doing both. I'm doing both. My exact exposures to tight ends might surprise people, but I'll save that for the Patreon people from the podcast this morning. That's probably one of the bigger differences based on today than the past couple of days that I noticed after running projections or running exposures. Is Mahomes a must-play in cash? Again, no. Like, the price difference makes it a no. He would be the guy I would prefer in cash, but is he a must-play? No, I think there's an actual debate of the Jimmy Garoppolos plus Ryan Tannehills when it comes to point per dollar. Like, having Jimmy Garoppolo plus Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, like those two top-end guys, is that better than having Mahomes, say, Tyreek Hill, and like Corey Davis, right? That's what you're choosing between, or close to that. Maybe not exactly. It would be maybe something like Deebo Samuel instead. Hey, Sal, I feel the perception of Tennessee's defense by the field is being underrated. Would you agree? What's going on over on Twitch? DKEPGPG. Underrated? They got a good safety. They got a good slot cornerback. And I really think that's it. Their run defense is good, yeah. So I think people underrate them as a whole because their run defense is very good. But you don't need run defense to stop. Like, run defense doesn't stop the Chiefs. Your pass defense does. Their pass defense, not that good. It makes your roster so much better not playing Mahomes. In other spots, but at quarterback, I don't think it does. In other spots, like, you can argue with me, not playing Mahomes makes your roster look better. Yeah, I mean, the projections can add up very similar. At that point, you just need to have one of them hit. But will it make your rosters look good if Mahomes goes for 34 and no other quarterback touches 18, right? That's the issue that you're dealing with today. Is it possible Tennessee could be up 17-7 at halftime? Yeah, I don't see why not. Thoughts on punting defense? I think the Packers are the best defense option, so yeah, I think punting defense is fine. A huge stretch, but Lewis pass catching day. Dion Lewis, yeah, so I see what you're trying to do there. Yeah, I think he's in play. Nowhere near a priority, but he's dirt cheap. I would prefer Jonnu Smith in that price range across a different position. Sal, what do you think the chances are Tannehill only throws 15 times today? Because I don't see Kansas City not scoring, and they have things to throw. I don't think he's going to – I have Tannehill projected for like 24, 25 pass attempts. So I think he throws a lot more today, which directly hurts Derrick Henry in a sense from getting that 30-plus day. But I still think Henry's fine. 26 touches I have. Yeah, if you're still watching right now, hit the subscribe button. Totally free. Helps me out. Nothing negative for you. It just allows me to build an audience, helps me with third-party advertising, but also helps me reach more people. The more people that watch these videos, the longer the watch time is, the more YouTube shows it to other people on their site. In search. Aaron Jones and Sammy Watkins or Kelsey and Hardman? Which group scores more? I mean, your higher upside group there is Aaron Jones and Sammy Watkins. It's also the higher owned if you're factoring in both their ownerships, but I would go Jones and Sammy Watkins. Do you expect Mahomes to get rushing yards or only passing yards? I think he'll have some rushing yards. How involved do we expect Jamal Williams to be today? Similar to last week, not much involved. The reason why Jamal Williams wasn't as involved is they used Tyler Irving. Tyler Irving had 7 snaps for 2 touches. A lot of it was in the slot, was a gadgety player, but they had a lot of Tyler Irving plus Aaron Jones snaps, 2 running backs, rather than Jamal Williams. So I think he gets more involved, but it might only still be 10, 11 snaps. Do you think Coleman keeps the lead role? I don't know. It could flip. There were some reports that Mostert was sick or cramping or something last week, but you're not going to get 22 touches on 48% of the snaps often. Like, that doesn't happen. So if he has 48% of the snaps again, Coleman, and he's the lead back, I think he only sees like 15 touches. They went very run heavy because they were scared shitless that Jimmy G was going to ruin that game last week after throwing 1 interception and 2 damn near interceptions after that. Sal, thoughts on Kyle Juszczyk? I have no interest. Even on the showdown slate, he seems overpriced. Jones will catch a TD and run one in. Yeah, legalized. If Aaron Jones catches and touches and runs a TD in and you believe that, I was talking to my cousin. There's a prop out there for like, it's like plus something crazy. Like every dollar you're going to end up winning like 85, like plus 850 or something for that to happen. Maybe even higher. Is Mahomes, Williams, and Hill good for cash? Seems okay, yeah. Dion Lewis or Jamal Williams? I would go Dion Lewis. Mostert or Williams in GPPs? It depends on the rest of your lineup. That's a big price difference. You're asking me a question of $2,700 in difference. What else are you getting? Sal, can you give a breakdown of Tyreek Hill versus Sammy Watkins? Yeah, Hill's going to be on the outside, unguardable. He's much more expensive. Sammy Watkins' matchup in the slot is the toughest matchup you can probably have for one of the Chiefs today against Logan Ryan. And he runs just shorter routes. He's not going to see a ton of usage. Like, people who look at the box scores and just look at the fantasy points scored last week, you realize he had 2 targets in a week where Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce got hurt. Demarcus Robinson saw less snaps because of 2 early drops. And Sammy Watkins still only sees 2 targets. So Watkins' upside, yeah, he can score a touchdown. He's going to be on the field a lot. He ran 30-plus routes, but they don't like looking to him. They don't like looking at slot wide receivers unless they're prioritizing McCole Hardman in the slot. So it's not really a spot where I feel the need to get to Sammy Watkins. The issue that you have is if you're floating in around that price range at wide receiver, you're literally choosing between Kendrick Bourne, Corey Davis, and Sammy Watkins. And those all seem like awful choices, so it's the best of the worst at that point. Any love for Dion Lewis? If you think that the game flow goes that they get down big early, Dion Lewis probably comes on. But if they're within 2 touchdowns for most of the game, it's still going to be Derrick Henry game. Slicks Todd subscribed over on Twitch. Thank you. Subscribes to Twitch Prime. Appreciate that. Yeah, if you have Twitch Prime, if you have Amazon Prime, you have a free Twitch subscription. If you have not used it, you could use it here. You could use it somewhere else, of course. Just be sure to use it. GPG stands for Go Pack Go. Oh, there we go. I didn't know that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Go Pack Go, my man. If Adam Humphries is in, Tajay Sharp is out. He's probably not going to be out. He'll still be the wide receiver 3/4, but he's going to see a lot less usage, I would imagine. Thoughts on Coleman and Mostert in the same GPP lineup with Kelce and Kittle? Mahomes is my QB. Yeah, I think it's very contrarian. I think it's live. I think it's okay. Kat says Aaron Rodgers 5 TDs. Oh boy. Titans get blown out today 48-26. You think the Titans are going to score 26? I mean, I guess they can. That's close to their total. Lazard, ? Just very meh. I would prefer Corey Davis and Sammy Watkins in that range, but it's not that far. There's nothing exciting about Lazard today. When will you start making millions like these kids on YouTube? When I don't cover daily fantasy sports, a niche inside a niche inside a niche, and then if you factor in DraftKings inside a niche, I'm layers deep in this. But you would be probably surprised to the income that 18,000 subscribers in DFS industry makes. Let's just say I did a 5-year master's program, and out of the job offers I was getting, in a year's time, I've made probably close to triple what I would have made out of any of those. Jordan Matthews, I doubt he plays. Corey Davis or Emmanuel Sanders or Sammy Watkins. I would choose, it depends on who else is in your lineup. I like Corey Davis there, leaves money on the table maybe, but if you already have A.J. Brown or Jonnu Smith, there's not much upside there. So it depends on who's in your lineup. I judge Henry by what suit he wears to the games, and it's fire, so he's a lock. Yeah, Jonathan, if you have Twitter, follow me, but also let me see that picture. I'm sure I'll see it soon, but what's the picture look like? Is Jonnu Smith a sneaky tight end play? Yeah, he's very low owned. He's like coming in at like 15-20% ownership in a few spots I'm looking at. I think he's in play. Corey Davis, showdown captain. Bold, but fine. Kelce about to have a repeat. Yeah, I mean, it's a tougher matchup downfield for him, but he's Travis Kelce. I don't think too much matters, especially when you get into the red zone. He's going to be the primary option. Corey Davis or Emmanuel Sanders or Sammy Watkins for cash. Again, depends on who else is in your lineup. I would choose Corey Davis there, but if you have A.J. Brown, it doesn't feel as good. If you have A.J. Brown and Jonnu Smith, it doesn't feel nowhere near as good. Packers and Titans are going to the Super Bowl. That would be brutal. As long as the Chiefs win, the Super Bowl is going to be great either way, right? But that would be brutal. Damn, Chris Jones just donated $15 to the stream. He says, thanks for the work. We'll have to watch the replay of the McGregor fight. Yeah, man. Oh, the McGregor fight. Yeah, McGregor fight was great. I don't know why people buy these fights. I had it up on a stream the whole time, every single fight for free. It was like crack streams or something. I don't know why people buy these fights. It's what? I guess it was only $85 for the year for ESPN Plus, so not as bad. Tyler Irving looked more football aware last week. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but no, he's definitely a very gadgety player that they're going to use this week. A.J. Brown has the best matchup on the entire slate. If you're looking at PFF, yes, he does have the best advantage. I would argue Tyreek Hill has the best matchup when you factor in skill set. But yeah, if you're looking at PFF and just pure data, plus 17%, I believe the advantage is for A.J. Brown. And you factor in the price point, it's very good. Like, A.J. Brown is one of the top options on the slate in obviously hindsight right now. Today, all you millennials, here we go. who's this 55-year-old Joe behind the desk, will realize the value of greatness. Mahomes is the greatest QB you'll ever see. Oh, here we go. Sal, what are you doing with XFL? Will you have Patreon? It depends what the prize pools are. If they're only going to have like 10,000 of first prize pools, I'm not covering it heavy. There's just going to be no appeal. There'll be like 100 views per video. It's a waste of my time. Some ambulance coming by. If the XFL has 50K or 100,000 of first prize pools and there's interest, I'll make 1 to 2 YouTube videos a week. I'll have exclusive content over on Patreon. The issue is projecting the XFL is damn near impossible. We have no historical data. We don't know any of these goddamn players. So it's probably not going to be much projections based, at least to start. How old are you? I turned 23 in June. Janu, 2-tutty upside. I don't know about that. I mean, if that's the case, anybody on the field in the red zone has 2 touchdown upside. What's your master's degree in? Business strategy. Corey Davis catching a bomb. Everybody's trying to talk their hopes into realization here. I think this is actually more true from the guy who brought up you millennials. Wild. He says, great run by the Titans, but legacies are on the line. No way, Andy Reid. More importantly, Mahomes, the god, is going to lose at home. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a much different team than the Baltimore Ravens and the New England Patriots. Patriots were just a garbage team, to be honest with you, outside of their defense on offense. The Ravens were very solid on both sides, but they played a very similar game to Tennessee, and they're very exposed to, if you have turnovers, it's going to be hard to dig yourself out of that hole. We saw it one time this year from the Ravens. Chiefs play a different game, and you can get up big on them like Texans last week, doesn't matter. If you're staying close with them, like the Titans earlier this year, you're going to need a lot to go right. Blocked kicks, turnovers, scoring the wildest ways. So, yeah. Harmon/Watkins, potential big day. I think Harmon has more upside than Watkins, but Watkins will be on the field for 25 more snaps. ESPN Plus doesn't even include the pay-per-view. You have to pay extra for that? My God, I don't know who the hell is falling for that scheme. These bots are annoying. Yeah, Mike, I don't know how many there are, but do your thing. Running backs, please, yeah. Thank you for your work this season. No problem, Bennett, for sure. Yeah, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I don't know. Can we get to 18,500? Are we already there? I don't even know. Why would it include the pay-per-view? ESPN Plus was the one promoting the pay-per-view. So it seems odd that you have to pay for their streaming service, which I guess you get a ton of other content too with that. So it would be cheap if you got the pay-per-view included. If Chiefs stacks the box on Henry, what Titans would benefit the most? A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown. Sal, do you ever try Overlay Fantasy? I don't know what that is. Is that a site? I don't know what that is. Do you trust Jimmy Graham as an impact play today? No, I don't. The Packers are going to use so many tight ends like they did last week, I would imagine. Jay Sternberger, their rookie, who was injured most of the year, got some work. Yeah, it's probably not a spot that I trust Jimmy Graham today. Only ran 16 routes last week. Do you do golf videos? Yeah, I do. I didn't do a golf video this past week because of travel, and it was one of the worst events you could possibly have. So I did a Patreon stream for golf. But yeah, I keep doing a golf video once a week, and then I'll have a Patreon podcast once a week with my stat sheet. Potentially more content for golf if the XFL isn't as big as I'm projecting it to be. Like if the XFL has big prize pools, that'll be my primary focus with NBA throughout leading into the summer. XFL, I believe, is over at the end of April. Lots of cool rules in the XFL, though. One catch to be in play, the 1-point, 2-point, 3-point conversions, double forward passes in play. Their kickoffs are all different. There's some cool rules in the XFL. The overtime is cool. I think you start at like the 5-yard line or something. You get like 5 chances to get a touchdown. Something weird. Damn, Sal, I turned 23 in 2 weeks. Yeah, I turned 23 in June. Or I did turn 23 in June. Yeah, is 23 even millennial or Gen Z? It's right on. My birthday is June 30th. That's a good question, Kirk. Literally, June 30th is the cutoff. Is the cutoff on multiple like websites? It's different on some. So I have no idea what I am. Like if I get the wise old man comment of you're these millennials or whatever, I'm like, I just say I'm not even a fucking millennial. So whatever. Damn, you were born in 97, 96. I was born. The word sleeper is not applicable on a 2-game slate. I agree. I mean, you have McCole Hardman at like 10%, 15% owned. he has the upside to be a quote-unquote sleeper relative to the average, like 30% ownership today. I watched a streamer last night that said he believes that Andrew Luck has a greater than 5% chance of playing the XFL. Yeah, no shot. Like, his dad runs the league. Oliver Luck is the commissioner and CEO of the XFL. Andrew Luck is not coming back to the XFL. If he's going to come back and risk the injuries that he was concerned about, he's probably going to go to a league where he can make more money. Just tweeted you the picture. Henry's a lock. Tevin Coleman sneaky? I don't think he's sneaky. He's priced up. ESPN Plus is $5 a month. I saw something for $89.95. Was that what the pay-per-view's price was then? I think Damian Williams is a lock for 5 to 6 targets out of the backfield. Got to lock that in. 5. I can see 5. AJ Brown over Debo. I agree. Thanks for all your work, Sal. What do you think of Bourne today? Viable? He's cheap enough and no ownership to throw a dart on him, but Kendrick Bourne is like my 10th ranked wide receiver, so I would prefer Humphreys if he's active, Hardman, all these guys. Lazard would be close there. After NFL is over, will you live stream for basketball? Yeah, I'm going to try to a couple days a week. The issue is obviously Osimo from like 5 to 7 has a ton of coverage. I'm going to try and get on at like 4:30 to 5. Not because I'm worried about competing with Osimo. Those guys are great, but I mean, the internet's free. Anybody can go on it. The issue is if there's going to be everybody watching those streams, because they are very good, it just is sort of a waste of time. Might as well knit out my own time. So like 4:30 might be a time. Championship Sunday. Good luck, guys. What's going on, Vincent? How you doing, man? Are you over or under on Henry, Sal? I am currently under his 55 projected ownership by almost half. I can't believe it, but I think I'm sitting out. That's not a bad idea. I thought about it. I thought about sitting out the 2-game slate. I'm not at the end of the day, but not a bad idea at all. These slates are extremely variant. I'm not playing any huge prize pools today. I'm not playing the Millie. I'm not doing that stuff. It's a burn your money special on these 2-game slates. I'm going a lot of prize pools that are single entry 3 max with 100 or less people in them. Yeah, you got to pay $200, $300 to get in, 500, but I think your upside in winning those is better, even though you're playing better competition. It's more for risk, but I'd rather compete against 29 people to finish as a top 7 to win, rather than to win a good amount of money, rather than competing with 100,000 people to try and finish in the top 20,000 to only double my money at best. You okay with playing Debo? Yeah, I mean, I don't have a strong stance against him. He'll have Kevin King. He'll have to survive on outside throws by Jimmy G. Doesn't sound great. Both of those guys don't really seem all great to me out of Denver, but I do prefer Debo over Emmanuel Sanders. Do you think Mahomes will outscore the other QBs by a lot? I have Mahomes scoring right now, I think, like projected for 8 more points than anybody else. That makes him a very close point per dollar play to Jimmy G and Tannehill for me. I think he outscores them, yeah, but point per dollar, it gets close. Sal, you have the same B-day as Mike Tyson. Do I now? Okay. Huge fan, bro. Keep up the great work. Thanks for all the help this season. No problem, Nick. Hope you're having a good day, man. Anyone ever tell you that you're mature for your age? I think I'm pretty self-aware, so I think I know that just based on the people that have been around me for most of my life. But I grew up around a lot of mature friends, and I just decided to read a lot of books when I was like a sophomore in college and read a shit ton of books and start trying things because, man, oh man, I realized that working 9 to 5 in a desk job would just lead to me being very depressed. Hey, my birthday is June 28th, 96. Hey, you're 2 days older than me, my man. Sal, how long did it take you to get monetized on YouTube? I made a YouTube channel in October of 2018. A couple months before that, I made it and I did like music review videos to learn how to do YouTube. Pretty funny. They're unlisted right now. I had 1,000 subscribers. You need 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours. I got monetized. I applied for the program on Christmas Day of 2018. I got monetized a month later. And yeah. So it took me a couple months, but those couple months were not me just making a video once a week. They were me making 2 videos a day almost. So yeah. I boycott ESPN race batters. I don't know what that means. Shout out to the Bobos that paid for the fight last night. Pay-per-view was $65 last night. Not worth it. You literally could have watched maybe like 3 seconds behind, but Crack Streams, the clearest ever pay-per-view for the exact same thing. Is Kelsey too priced up? No, I don't think so. It's hard to, if you play him, hard to get to other people. But no matter what, you're going to leave 2 or 3 studs off of your lineup today. I don't think that he's terrible. Sal, is Adams a top wide receiver on the slate? No, I think Tyreek Hill is. Then I think A.J. Brown. Then I think Adams. You think Aaron Jones gets shut down or goes off today? The first matchup was rough. Yeah, I don't look at the first matchup. Obviously, they get down early. That doesn't help the running game. Brian Bulaga was out early, right tackle. Brian Bulaga was out last week. So I think Aaron Jones at half the ownership of Damian Williams is a great play today. Sal, who are you paying up for today? I think starting your lineups with Mahomes is pretty good. Just entered 150 lineups for the first time ever. Wow, that's a grind. Respect you doing this often. I don't do it as often as you probably think. I really don't like 150 maxes. If you have the money, sure, but there's a lot of professionals out there that don't do that well. Because of 150 maxing in one bad year just takes them out dry. I like single entry. I like 3 max. I like smaller fields. I think it's more profitable if you're not somebody, and I am spending a lot of time on this, but not somebody who is pretty much Alex Osmo-Baker, right? Irvin is going to break the slate as a cheap running back. I like him on the showdown slate at 200. I like Tyler Irvin the way that he'll be used today. I think he only sees like 3 or 4 touches, but those can go on trick plays for something big. I mean, you saw 2 touches, 25 yards last week. What's the most you won in a slate? Ash asks, 16,000 about a month ago in NBA. And then I've had a 10,000 win before that. What's your best defense today, Sal? I like the Packers today. Road underdogs at 7 points isn't great, but facing probably an inferior quarterback, really good defensive line, solid secondary, and they're cheap. It's really a price thing at the end of the day with a good pass rush. Sal, pray. I don't know what that means. What part of New York you in? I used to live in Staten Island when I was really young. Parents moved to Northeast Pennsylvania. Now I live in North Carolina. Irvin in the flex allows me to get to Hill and Adams and Humphreys as a punt. Irvin is a very, very low upside, 0-point floor type of player for the 2-game slate. But at $200 on the showdown slate, if he has 4 touches for 50 yards, that can get you there. On the main slate, if he has 4 touches for 50 yards, I don't know if it gets you there. It could, but there's also a lot of other guys in that 3K range that can do similar or better. My guest Sal lives in Queens. No, I don't. My parents were born in Brooklyn. They grew up, met there, moved to Staten Island. I lived in Staten Island for about 10 years, 12, 13 years maybe. Then lived in PA for about 10, including college. In North Carolina, I moved 6 months ago. Started reading books 2 months ago, and I have changed so much already. It's kind of crazy how much information you can absorb. Yeah, reading books is the number one way to just become a better person, whether it's in your health, your diet, your relationships, your real life, business, whatever it is. Reading books is by far the best way to spend your free time. Now, is it easy to just sit down and read a book if you're not used to it? No, it seems like that's the last thing that you want to do. I've had the E-Myth Revisited by me for, I don't know. I started this book, I read half of it in like a matter of days, and now it's been sitting there for literally like a month. But yeah. Reading books is the best thing you could do. I'm trying to force my younger cousin, a couple years younger than me, and my younger brother just started college to just read a ton. If I started reading as a high schooler, I don't even know where I'd be right now. Yeah, crack streams is a blessing, not a single issue of the entire slate. I agree. What do you mean play cash? Do you mean the smaller contests? Cash is head-to-heads and 50-50s. Some people consider double-ups cash as well. I consider cash where you can have 50% of the winnings. 2020 book recommendations for an aspiring entrepreneur. If you have not started reading yet, the 4-Hour Workweek is the one that really will set everybody off. It's very cliche for entrepreneurs, probably. Platforms are overly saturated. False. Players have improved, and probability of winning unless you have multiple lineups is very thin. No, false. Players have improved, yes. Oversaturated? No. If you're playing huge contests and you're trying to win, it's just as hard as ever, probably harder. If you're playing smaller contests, 100-person fields, I honestly think you have a better advantage in those. People are so caught up in getting their 150 max lineups in, they're not focusing on that one lineup. I've had a lot of success doing that, especially in NBA. SI is a good guess. Yeah, Staten Island. Sal, are you in the 3K luxury box on DK? No, sounds like a terrible idea. I think the pros pay for their 150 maxes with cash. What else would they pay for it with? I'm not trying to be facetious. I don't know what else they would pay for it. Sal, you were born in 96? Yes, sir. I was. June 96. I watched the whole fight on Facebook 10 minutes after for free. Wow. Kittle versus Kelsey. I prefer Kittle. Demarcus Robinson or Sharp for 3,300 or less. I'll take Robinson there. Congrats, Sal. Thank you. I think we have the same line on Pablo Packers D also. Excuse me. Would you recommend going 2 out of 3 on Hill? 2 out of 3 on Hill or 1 Hill and 1 Kelsey? I like 2 out of 3 on Hill. What's the word on Kittle? He's all good to go. He's 5,800, way too cheap. And if I had to put one guy into my lineup to start the slate, it would probably be George Kittle. It was a year ago, ESPN in the fight for 89 or whatever. Okay, got you. D. Adams or Hill? Adams is lower owned, but not by too much. He's like 15% lower owned. I like Hill. Bad idea to get to Kelsey and Kittle. You're prioritizing those guys. I don't think it's bad. They're 2 of my top 4 highest projected players. I've had less interest in it as the week has gone on, building lineups, but it's not a bad idea. No matter what, you're going to give up 3 studs today. If you play Kelsey and Kittle, you're giving up 2 from another position. Sal, pay up for Mahomes or drop down to Tannehill to get more studs. Those are the 2 quarterbacks that I think are in play today. I prefer Mahomes. I have 60, 70% Mahomes and some Tannehill. I just moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. I am also in Raleigh. Staten Island, I know my New Yorkers. There you go. Yeah, my man. I lived in Richmond. Or Rossville. On Richmond Ave. Or was Richmond Avenue, I think, was my street address. I don't know. It's been 13 years. Sal, which stud will you be fading the most? Probably relative to the field, Derrick Henry. He's 55% owned. I have 30% of him. From Scranton, PA myself. Yeah, my family lives northeast PA. They live close to Scranton. Adams is 35% owned. I've got a little bit less than that. The other studs who are highly owned, Damian Williams, I'm following it right now. Relative to the field's ownership right now, projected ownership, I have less of Henry than anyone else. Do you read the Bible, Sal? No, I personally do not. I am not religious. Somebody says, use Irvin. He's the type of player to win a large field GBP. Yeah, he's sneaky. Nobody's heard of him. He's going to go unowned. Tim Ferriss is the GOAT. Yeah, the Tim Ferriss Gary Vee was my first 6 months of exploring and trying to figure things out. And then it's kind of a phase that you get over, I would say. I'm a writer and I did everything that I could read in my field. They're definitely the key to success. Yeah, without a doubt. Reading books is the key to success. Knowledge is literally power. My brother reached out to me asking about how to go through starting a business. I told him to read books. Me telling him a 10-minute conversation is not going to help anything as opposed to the actual practicality of reading books. Do you think Coleman over Mostert is a better play today? I like Mostert more. Bad idea to have Kelsey and Kittle in the same lineup. I don't think it's a bad idea. No. People sleeping so hard on the Packers today. It's difficult. Outside of, I like Aaron Jones, I like Adams, and I like their defense. So it's difficult to like anything else, though. It really is. Sal, when you won that 16 grand, was your lineup ugly? No, I play smaller fields. I play 300 or less person fields. So the one was a 10,000 win, a 5,000, and a couple of smaller wins to get to 16K. It was the same lineup that I put in those contests. One of them was a 29-person field. One of them was a 100-person field. You just have to pick your spots. The lineup was relatively chalky. Maybe 1 or 2 guys in the low 15 or below range in NBA, but no, it wasn't ugly at all. If I would have played that lineup in the bigger contest, yeah, I would have finished in 12th, 13th, 14th place. That's why I don't like playing the bigger contests. You can have the nuts lineup in every other contest on the slate, but some bozo puts in some rando, and they end up shipping it with a single bullet. Packers are going to win through defense and special teams mainly. Yep. Yeah, the Packers they definitely need to win the turnover battle. Going to need some sort of big play in those departments. Coleman and Mostert, what's the deal? There's reports Mostert was, tired last week, sick, cramping. So I think Coleman just played well, got the touches in the red zone, but he's not going to see 22 touches on 48% of the snaps again. I think they see similar work this week. How's the Packers pass blocking? It's elite, especially with Balaga back. The Packers offensive line is a top 5 unit in the league. They're up there in both pass blocking and run protection. The Packers pass blocking is I would say, the best left in the playoffs out of these 4 teams. In both running and passing. The 49ers run blocking scheme is the best in the playoffs, but the personnel that they have on their line is not as good as the Packers. It's good, but not as good. What is Patreon you speak of? It's where my exclusive content is. So for NBA, I got my projections updated throughout the day there. It's just me here. I'm an independent content creator. So Patreon's a platform for creators to put more stuff on. I use it as sort of a content site for myself and my patrons. It's exclusive. So projections, exclusive podcasts, streams, other stuff's over there on Patreon. Sal, you're not religious? You're going to hell, Sal. Who cares? Can we ask NBA questions? I haven't really looked at the slate too much. I know it starts at 3. I have it projected. I was going to actually break it down, but I figured like 5 people would watch it on YouTube. So, you could ask them, but we're still waiting on a lot of injury news in the NBA today. DeJounte Murray, Jeremy Lamb, for a 2-game slate, those are some important pieces. Sal, when you have time, I send you an email on Kelsey. I got a ton of emails from this morning. I'll get to it for sure. Can you break down the Niners running back situations? I always pick the wrong one. Yeah, it's hard to like them. Matt Breida probably sees less touches. So does Coleman since last week. I have Coleman projected for 15 and a half touches. Mostert for like 12. So based on that, I like Mostert a little bit more. There were reports that Mostert last week was cramping and sick and whatever else. So maybe that gave Coleman some more work. You saw a random spike from him, but he played well. So it's not like they're just going to take the ball away from him. I think that they see similar work. I think that Coleman and Mostert both see like around 12, 14 touches probably at the end of the day. What's your team, Sal? I'm a Packers fan. New Eminem album is fire. Yeah, listen to some of it. It's pretty good. I got to go to the gym so I can listen to the rest. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes left. Hit the subscribe button before you bounce. Follow me on Twitter, of course. Check out Patreon if you're interested. Donate to the stream if you got the extra cash and you're a high roller. You can do that too. Look at this. Look at this guy. Oh, wow. Tax evasion is theft. Before 1913, if you worked here in America, you kept every dime you made. We still, public road schools. Look at this guy. Clown. Does picking use check as low as cost possible breakout play make me insane? Yeah, I think it does make you insane. Salick was smart. Smaller fields agreed. Yeah. Look, if you want to consistently win, and that doesn't mean every single day, but like trying to win a large field GPP where there's 50,000, that's the only contest you're always playing, and you're playing your cash lineups, whatever, you might win that once out of every like 3 to 5 years. Once at best. How much is Irvin? How much Irvin is too much? Oh, no. If you want to play small field contests, and I'm talking like 100 people or less, you will win that much more. You have a 1% chance of winning a 100-person field. A 100,000-person field, you have a 0.0001% chance, right? It's just not going to happen. Sal, do you believe the NFL is rigged at all? No, I do not. You like Damian Williams with Mahomes at QB? Seems fine. Thoughts on Breida? He'll see less touches than last week unless there's an injury, in my opinion. They ran so much last week. Would the Packers passing game be the ultimate GPP play? Yeah, I try to get there. I try to get to Rodgers. He's expensive. Like, these other guys are just so much better. It's hard. Here's the thing. If you're playing Aaron Rodgers today, all you need to happen is Patrick Mahomes to not do well. Doesn't matter what the other guys do. If Rodgers goes out there and scores 15 points, but Mahomes has a dud and scores 18, there's a very small chance that Jimmy G or Ryan Tannehill are breaking the slate, so you're fine. So it's really, really hard to roster Rodgers and see a huge upside out of him unless he just goes for 24 points. And the way the Packers win today, as mentioned earlier, defense, special teams, and just controlling the clock, milking, shortening the game, running, efficient tight ends on the field, trick plays, whatever it could be. They're not going to just dominate this secondary unless half the defensive line and secondary gets hurt today. You don't think Kelsey has more upside than Kittle? 49ers like using him. I mean, Kelsey has a tougher matchup, and he's $1,300 more. If you told me to pick between both of these guys, and the matchup against Green Bay is as good as it gets for Kittle. Very, very good. People all year long, because of the first 5 weeks, 6 weeks of the season, want to say the Cardinals and tight ends. The Packers are just as bad. Very close. So, no, even if they were the same price, I would prefer Kittle slightly, but they're not the same price. So the upside for Kelsey is clearly there. You saw it last week. But there's a $1,300 difference now. Somebody says religion is overrated. Oh, boy. What's the stat you look at the most in the NBA? The stat? That's a weird question for the NBA. NBA is very, very projections-based. Probably ownership. Ownership's not really a stat, but that's the biggest thing for me in the NBA. Which one do you prefer more, NBA or NFL? NBA for DFS. For real life, probably NBA too. When it comes to playoffs, if my team's in it, the NFL. Good luck today. Thank you, Toss. Thank you. Yeah, if you're following on Twitch, hit that follow the broadcaster button. Sportscaster, what's going on, gang? Hit that follow the broadcaster button. We got like 2 minutes left here. I'm going to bounce, hit the gym, go on a nice run, long run today. Get ready for this these big games, and NBA slate too. But yeah, hit the subscribe button as well before you leave. How to access the podcast for Patreon members. It is on Patreon. If you are a Patreon member, and you are a member that is not the light package of $10, if you are a $20 member, you get the podcast that was released this morning. So just make sure, Dion Kelly, make sure you're in the right tier if you are on Patreon. If you are, then it's just right there on the front page. Do you ever do qualifiers? I used to. They're a money burner. I know that people like Jeff LFA have gotten on hot streaks and won qualifiers, and for the most part, they're a money burner. Like, unless you get extremely lucky, you will probably lose 4 to 5 to 6 figures in qualifiers over the long term. It's just an odds thing. Like, what, 3% of people who play qualifiers don't lose that much money, or don't lose money, period? Do you think it's easier to win big cash in tournaments in the NFL or NBA? In the NBA, it's much more ownership pivot based. There's good projections, but you can have a guy projected for 30% more ownership, and he only has like 1 or 2 more point projection. Emmanuel Sanders' take. Jair has really shut him down 2 times now. He hasn't looked that great. They're going to force Jimmy G to throw to the outside, which helps Sanders a little bit. Bigger play upside, but he hasn't looked that great. Yeah, what's the narrative on Irvin here? He just played 7 snaps last week. He's been used the last 2 games as a gadgety player. He's dirt cheap. I like him on showdowns, if anything. Not sure he has the upside on the main slate, the 2-game slate, to really do much, but I have him projected for 3.5 touches. He is probably, I wouldn't be shocked if he played more snaps this week than Jamal Williams. He was on the field for 7 snaps with Aaron Jones last week, and they were getting a little bit creative there. And if I had to guess, if there's one player on this team, it's probably Tyler Irving, then Jay Sternberger, if the Packers were to utilize them in a heavier set this week, since Irvin wasn't on the team and neither was Sternberger since he was injured the last time they played, week 12. Sal, great stuff as usual. Go Chiefs. Best of luck. Best of luck to you and your team. Is leaving 1,000 on the table today okay? Seems fine. Narratives do not put up fantasy points. Of course not. That's why I said, if anything, the showdown slate seems good. Thanks for the advice, Sal. Same to you. Rodgers needs to shave his beard today to win. No, man, it's a playoff beard. May have to look at some of your NBA stuff. Yeah, man, check it out. What are you lifting today? I'm about to do chest after this. Jesus, this man's ripping it open. I don't know. I used to lift a lot more in college, like on a daily basis. Then I got a concussion. I'm much more of like a runner. I play basketball at the gym too. I don't know if I'll lift today. Corey Davis value. What's your thoughts on Adam Humphries if he plays? I prefer Corey Davis. All right, gang. I think I'm done. Appreciate it. We were here for like an hour and 10 minutes. Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button before you leave. Head over to Twitter @SalVetraDFS. I'll post updates there. Follow me over on Twitter, Instagram if that's your type of thing as well. You got a concussion from lifting? No, I got a concussion in a bounce house on my a week before my 21st birthday. My cousin, we were both running back and forth as fast as we can. For some reason, he lowered his shoulder, destroyed me. Still affects me to this day. It's been about 2 years, but for about a year, I had to use headphones and wear glasses everywhere. I had very bad sensory overload. Try it for CrossFit. It will change your life. Terrible in the joints. I do want to do American Ninja Warrior type stuff, though, which I know CrossFit somewhat aligns with. Thanks, Al. Big year for you, man. Appreciate it. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Have a good day. Peace out, gang.